Welcome to the Once and Future Author Podcast. I'm Stephanie, and I'm so excited today to be joined by author and head of a nonprofit, DeVoe. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks. It's so exciting to be here.
I love your idea for nonprofit. It is like nothing I've ever heard of, but let's wind it all back.
Yeah.
How did you even get started in the book publishing?
All of it. So I went to Columbia when I was so at first I was an actress, and then I realized that my husband's 9 to 5 and my 5 to 11 and weekends did not work.
So you never saw each other.
We never saw each other. We saw each other for like 15 minutes in the daytime, and then for our nightly argument about how this is going to work. That was gonna be a 3 a.m. argument. But I, and I thought, well, what else can I do? Like, what else do I do in my life that is fulfilling and wonderful and artistic and creative? And writing was something that I had always done. I was working as a temp in a Japanese bank, and I was forced to look busy at that bank. Like, I had no work other than like pouring tea in the proper order, and like I had very specific things that I had to do, but none of it was busy work. I had no like letters to write or anything. So I wasn't allowed to read or do anything that looked like lazy. So I had to work. So I started writing a novel in chapters, and I would give the novel to the receptionist, who also had to look busy, and she would read it over and say, oh, I want more of this or less of this, and send it back to me. So this was like organic. It had nothing to do with, was completely uneducated as a writer. I just wanted to do something that looked busy. I knew I liked writing, and it was just fun for me to just create this book that this
because you were bored at work.
Yeah. And so then at the, and then when the whole thing with the acting, where it was kind of getting difficult to have this relationship, I thought, well, what, I could go to grad school for writing, and that would be amazing. I would love that. And so I applied to 3 graduate schools, and one was a residency it was the very first, it was Bennington College had just started a low residency program. It was the very first one in the country. And it was like this groundbreaking. I was like, oh, well, that would be amazing. I'll do that. So I signed up for that. And then I signed up for NYU because I thought, well, I've heard of it. It should be awesome, And then I signed up for Columbia because I got married on the campus.
Oh, well, there's a reason.
And I mean, I'm from a Lithuanian background. My parents are very into education, but they didn't at the time, and I probably still don't understand, like, there's Ivy Leagues, there's like really good, no stratification of education. It's just, you should go to school, right? So I didn't even know that Ivy League was a thing. Like, I didn't know that there was better and worse college at all. At all. So I'm like, here, I've never taken a writing class. I might as well, like, here's my paper,
Sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Crazy. Yeah, I would never have dared to apply, but they probably laughed so hard reading my application that they were like, yeah, okay. Like,
they were like,
this one will be fun, And hopefully also my writing was good enough that, like, I didn't suck. So hopefully that was like part of it. But yeah, so since then, I've published a bazillion short stories and poems and different genres and all kinds of different things. I have like literary awards in almost every genre. Like, I really do. Like, I have I was in a Shirley Jackson nominated anthology, winning. It won. The Twisted Book of Shadows is an anthology that I happen to be in that won the Shirley Jackson, was nominated for Hugo. Like, I won the international campaign for Real Fear, which was like, again, a horror like thing.
Right.
I'm at 4 pushcart nominations. Like, I've done okay.
Wow. You've been doing okay.
I've won poetry contest. I won a national poetry contest. I don't know. Like, I like to write. I love to write good stuff.
All of this because you were bored at work.
I know. Well, I mean, obviously whatever I was writing was good enough that not only was the receptionist entertained hugely, but so was Columbia. So, because that was what I used as my writing sample. I was like, well, I've been writing this novel at work.
Because Does the receptionist, did she start like getting a job as a literary editor now too?
That's a really good question. I don't actually know. I lost touch with her after I went to school.
She deserves at least like an autographed copy of that.
I know. I should like dedicate every one of my books to her forever. For the rest of my life. You're so right.
Now I do have to ask one little question.
Yeah.
How on earth did you meet your husband when you don't even see each other?
Oh, yeah. Well, so we were both. So he was my boss at work. He was
Japanese place while you were
Oh,
writing.
no, at a stupid little, like we were at a retail shop.
Oh,
We used to sell furniture together,
Oh,
and we became friends, and and all of a sudden my schedule was exactly aligned with his perfectly.
like a week.
Yeah, I like to say like he was my boss and now he's not.
Very nice. Very nice.
But no, we've been married for 28 years, 29
long
years.
enough that you could say things like that.
Monstrous amounts of time. Yes. Yeah, he's a good man.
So the stars aligned for a week. You two met because you had the same hours, and now
Yeah.
And now the 28 years it lasts because you're on different hours again.
Exactly. No,
I love how you came to writing. Oh my gosh, you're
it's
the
such
first.
a random. It's so random. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I knew I was good at it. Like I did win in college. I won a national poetry contest. Like I did it because I needed the money. I was so poor. I needed the money so badly. And I'm like, and I was walking by a thing on like a flyer on a bulletin board. Remember flyers?
No
Yes.
way.
So it was a flyer that was like National Poetry Contest, enter. And I had just written a villanelle for prosody class or something. Like it was for a class. And I was like, oh, I'll submit it. And then when I win, I'll be out of my money troubles.
I love your confidence.
Confidence, stupidity, I'm not sure. Like I mean what I have that is I think a great thing for anybody in the arts to have is rejection hurts, but I move on. Like an ability to move on from the bad stuff. Because I had to tell you, in any arts career, the bad stuff piles on. And if you hold it, you're going to be buried. Like you can't. It was very funny. I tweeted at Margaret Atwood one day. I am so weird. So I tweeted at Margaret Atwood, like, have you ever been, like, do you still get rejected? And she wrote me back on Twitter and said, yes. And so like, nobody is immune to rejection. Nobody is immune to the harsh, difficult, like you have to send it out 100 times. Like things happen to us all the time. COVID. You cannot predict what crazy things are going to be negative in your life. So, I mean, I really focus on the positive, and I really try to find what's good, find what connects, find what brings us together, finds what lifts us up. And Parentis was really founded on that kind of an attitude that we're all going to be writing different things. Whether or not you have talent has nothing to do with us. Like I hope that you have great talent and that you'll get found and that you'll be in the right place at the right time and that your stuff will be marketable by chance. Like, I mean, because, trying to make all those check marks happen is a way to hurt yourself. Like to change your identity so you fit in better, or to write about something that you don't care about because you think it's going to sell. That's a very sloggy kind of way to do something that is supposed to be about joy and connect. I mean, I don't know, supposed to be. It's there's no supposed to be. Like the whole should is like, forget should. Like do just do. Yeah, but all those things will stop you, will freeze you, right? And I think that like as an artist or as a writer or an actor, anything that you do, like you just have to keep doing it. If you stop doing it, you can't possibly make it, right?
And you're also giving up. If you stop doing it, you stop being yourself.
Right.
For an artist, that's a piece of yourself. So if you stop doing it, you stop being authentically you.
That is 100% true. Yeah. Okay, we're done.
so far, I mean, you give me so many like gems, but two that I just totally want to like run a highlighter on, stick it on a post-it, and shout out to the world that I hope our listeners heard. First of all, I love what you said about, rejection, and it happens. I mean, you just have to assume that, if you're not getting rejected, that's because you're not putting yourself out there. Like, it's going to happen.
Well, people are starting to get that. There's starting to be groups that like the women who submit is like a whole thing that the people just get together and they submit, and they have community around just getting it out. There's like Facebook groups about this. There's so many ways to like.
And I love Stephen King in his memoir on writing. He talks about the first time he submitted something and he got rejected, and he had a nail over his desk in his attic.
Of course he did.
And he put it right there on the nail because, and like he accepted it immediately. Like, this is where I'm going to put my rejections.
Oh,
and
wow.
Eventually they were too much for the nail, and he had to get like a giant stake. The rejections.
There's something very pleasing about staking the rejection, though. I mean, there's like,
but it was like, it was kind of from his
cathartic, right?
writing. He knew it was part of the process.
Right.
Like, I write, I send, I get rejected. It's part of the process. And he even had like a built-in spot for it. Like, here's the nail.
That's good. I have a spot for it too. It's the garbage. I really enjoy throwing away rejection letters and just being like, delete, don't care, never thinking about it again. And then, but I like the people that like save them to like kind of gloat later, where they're like, oh, look, haha, look at what this, super famous editor said about my best-selling novel. Like, I'm not a vengeful person.
Right.
But I'm a get over it person. I'm like, oh God, I don't want to hear about this ever again. Like, but then it's a problem because then I might have a second thing that I'm sending to the same person, and they're like, oh yes, we liked your first one. We're so glad that you sent it. I'm like, oh, did I? Huh. Did I send to you before?
And you know what else I love that you said, and I hope everybody heard, because I see this all the time. You don't overthink things, do you?
Well, that's a funny thing, because I do overthink everything.
See, I'm hearing you. And
but I don't plan. I do. And then it's interesting. I am going to have to think about that. Because I am very
to Columbia in the tweet to Margaret Atwood, like, just do it. And I'm loving that because
I don't worry. That's true. I worry is not a part of my life. I thinking, like overthinking, that does happen. And when that happens, it stops me from usually doing stuff. If I get like, but I'm thoughtful, not worrying. Like I always know, like, okay, well, these are the terrible things that could come from this. That's probably not going to happen. So these are the things that are probably going to happen, that are good or bad, but they're probably going to happen. And then these are the things that are definitely going to happen, and I want, like, that they can't happen without me trying to do this. And like publication, for example, like you could send out something that is so bad that the editor will never open another email from you. That is probably the worst thing that could happen if you send out something, right? That is a very like, if you are at all
unlikely,
decent, like that is probably not going to happen.
I mean, seriously, they don't keep them over their desk like Stephen
Right.
King.
And even if you send out 50, like they're going to get to know your name, but hopefully you're getting better, or like maybe they're starting to like you. They're like, oh, look, it's another DeVoe short story. Let's see if I can publish this one. Nope. But they'll like write you a letter that says like, oh, I really like this one. It was so good. And I sat on my couch and I was really freaking out, but I'm sorry, we don't publish things that are about, or we've just published 4 things that are about old age and we can't publish this one. But they'll write you letters. Like I get fan mail from my rejections at this point. Like not always, but like there are magazines where if I send to them, they know me. They've never published me.
And sometimes for people who are lesser authors out there or getting started, the squeaky wheel does sometimes get the oil.
That's true. Yeah. Although it's annoying. Don't be squeaky.
No, don't be
Just
squeaky.
be a wheel. Just be a wheel. Just be an extra wheel. Be the spare tire in the back. Sometimes people need a spare tire. And if you're a good, solid spare tire in the back, that's fine. If you're a squeaky wheel, people are like, oh my God, never. I hate her. Like, delete. They won't read your stuff. I mean, don't be annoying.
Definitely don't be annoying, but tenacity is not a bad thing.
Tenacity is awesome. Like, showing that you
Showing up.
don't give up after one thing, because I mean, they're going to edit you too. Like they are going to have to edit your story. So if you're the person who's
You
like,
might not even recognize it when it's over.
right? Oh, it's so true.
Like, did I write this?
Yeah.
Not ringing a
Oh,
bell.
it's fun. Isn't that fun? That's the funnest thing, especially when it's already published and you look at it and you're like, wow, I did that. That's pretty good. Like, and it's so neat because you're in a different place, like
Right. But if they change too much, you're like, I didn't really do that.
well, I mean, knock on wood, I've never had that happen. I have had friends who have had that happen, and that's terrible. Like, I think, but a great editor is such a gift.
Oh yeah.
Like a great editor. Man, I think editors should get credit, by the way.
Gosh,
This is my plea to the gods. I really think that editors should get a line credit. Like, in the movies where every single, like the coffee person in the movie gets a credit. The caterer, everybody gets a credit, and it shouldn't be the author's job to acknowledge all the stupid people, like every single, like that's such a, because it's like, that's like an Oscar speech where if you leave somebody out, they get mad at you and it's like, how do you, there's so many people built this book, but it would be really cool if the publishing house would like say, this is the lead editor on this, and like, because eventually that person is going to need, like that's their credit. They worked on this book, and if they, I mean, I know people who are no longer employed by big publishing houses who list the authors that they worked with, but I would rather know like what book did they work on, because if they worked on the memoir as versus their like groundbreaking Nobel Prize winning novel, like that makes a difference. Anyway, I just think that I think editors have so much to do with it.
They do.
Agents too, probably. It could probably just be there.
Like a fine line to the ghostwriter, because and
ghostwriter should get actual, like there should be no allowed. It shouldn't be allowed to hire people without giving them it doesn't have to be on the cover, but it has to. Like, I am so anti celebrity books that are like, blah blah blah, and there's no
mention of who really wrote it.
No mention of who really wrote it, or that it was actually written by another person. I mean, it can just be, it doesn't, like, I get it that marketing wise, nobody wants to see the name of, some otherwise unpublished author, but they should get at least like on the inside, like at least like a translator. Translators should have big letters.
I'd like to think they're mentioned in the acknowledgments, even if it's not shining a light on what exactly they did, because of
this book could not have been written without Bob Cratchit. Yeah,
so true.
It should be, but I mean, if the writing is beautiful, like, it should be. I mean, I guess they get money.
They get money, and then of course we get into fiction writers who are, I mean, they're kind of writing their own stuff, but they're coming out with it so fast and furious, top bestsellers that that there
has to be a stable.
There's definitely a stable, and that, and you're never going to know who's in that stable, but there's just no way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really fascinating, because it is an art and a craft. Like, you could be a great writer and have no ideas, and then what do you do with that? Like,
right.
But I mean, I don't know. I personally don't think that anybody has no ideas. I think that the marketplace doesn't want your ideas sometimes, but whatever.
Some people's ideas just align better with where reading trends are going, or societal trends, or
Well, but the best writing breaks those. Like, it breaks the trend. Like, the best books are the ones where you're like, I've never read anything like this in my life. Like, those are the best for me. Those are the genius books where you're like, I don't even know where to put this on a bookshelf. Like, where is this? Like, that's my favorite kind of writing. And like, how do you even you can't even submit that to an agent because
Well,
they
that's
have
the thing
their
that
they have the categories and you're like, okay, I don't know where I fit. Like I'm somewhere in between. Like,
Yeah.
if the marketplace accepts me, then I'm here, and if they hate me, then I'm here. Like this is literary unless people like it.
Exactly, literary.
And then all of a sudden it's a book club book. Like, how did that happen?
Literary, that catch-all for everything that doesn't fit any place else.
Yeah. Or the fact that so much writing right now is either near future, not like Kazuo Ishiguro's newest book.
Mhm.
Is that science fiction? Is that going on the science fiction shelf? It's about AIs and
Right.
where is that going? It's going where the Nobel Prize winners go, which is the literary shelf. Whatever they write, it goes on the literary
Exactly.
shelf. And
That literary shelf, man.
it's a tricky word, literary. I think it should just be called other. Because it's not fair. It's not fair to the really great genre writers. I mean, somebody like maybe Tana French, right? Somebody who writes really the characters are deep, the writing is beautiful. It's, there's pages and pages of description, which is unusual in a mystery, but she's a mystery writer, right? She writes mysteries. People die, and then by the end of the book, you find out who did it. And but they are literary quality, grad school quality. I don't know what to call it. They are very, very literary books, and they are mysteries. And it is not fair that somehow that's not literary.
Just because she happens to actually fit a genre.
Right.
No.
There you go. So you see, can you tell that I hate pigeonholes? I don't like them. I don't like them. I don't fit in them. I mean, like I said, I'm a Texas-born Lithuanian who ran away with a bunch of jugglers. Where do I fit? I live in New York City. I've lived in Baltimore. I've lived in Germany. I've had
Do you really juggle?
Yeah.
No way. How many?
Oh, way, just three. Three things, and hopefully not breakable things. I mean, I don't know. I might do eggs if I was.
You could do eggs?
Well, it's just like balls, but scarier.
Oh God, I can only do even the little kit. The three.
Oh, the bean bags.
Bean bags, yeah.
Yeah, hard-boiled eggs. I would do hard-boiled eggs better.
See, I had said to my husband once, I bought this book, and they were doing the couples, and you're throwing
Right. Yeah.
Suggested it, and he suggested maybe a divorce was in mind. So I thought it was maybe.
No. I taught my husband, and then we started trying to do the one. I like the one where you're juggling and then somebody comes up behind you and takes over and then throws. I started with juggling, and then we moved on to parenting, and that's how.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We did the parenting, and really now we're
it's good to have a partner who can take over and then not drop the balls.
Absolutely. Yeah. So speaking of parenting, please tell us.
Oh, hey, there's my website. Hello, website.
Please tell us all about it and how this started, because I mean.
So first of all, the fellowship is open. I just saw that blog post scroll by, but the fellowship is open. There's Dawn Ryan. She's our current fellow. And I just saw, where did she go? And Anjali just is this past the 1 year back fellow. There's Anjali. She was 1 year ago. There's Dawn. She's right now. You have to read her story, The Cats. It will blow your mind. You will not believe what she did with the word count. So the fellowship is open right now. It's open until, when is it open until? April 17th is the deadline. It is for new parents. So we have extended the description of new parents to reach all the way to 10-year-olds, almost 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds. So if you have a child that is under 10 years old, then you can have more, but at least one child that is under 10 years old, you are qualified for this fellowship. It's great. It is $1,000 that you can use for whatever you want.
You get pregnant just for this, or no?
You can try, but you won't be ready by the deadline. You could probably enter next year if you. You have to work pretty fast, but it is an annual fellowship, so you have years and years to worry about. But you get $1,000. You get a year of mentorship which means like talking to me. I don't know if you want that, but it's kind of fun. Can be. And then you also get you get to be in our meetups, which are really great for that's what our title members have. It's a amazing perk. It's an accountability meetup that meets once a week, and you set goals and have a group that actually cares whether or not you achieve them. It is the community part of Parentis is really important to me and to us. We really want people to make friends, to be part of a group of writers that have kids. We have a Facebook group that has something like 800 members on it or something, and Facebook algorithms keep trying to hide groups from you. So it's so frustrating, but we post an accountability thread every Friday that anybody, even if they're not like, sustaining members, they can still like get the benefits of what we do in person with the people that are sustaining members. We also have literary salons once a month that are free and open to the public, and they are there's a $10 suggested donation, but if you cannot buy yourself a cup of coffee, then you can come for free, it's fine. But we present small groups of authors with a theme, and all of the authors have kids, and so they all talk a little bit about how they manage their lives so that they can have a successful writing career. And it's really fun because we also talk about a theme. So like the theme that we just finished was identity, and we had some really interesting conversations about that. And then this coming month, April 13th, I think it's the second Tuesday of the month, so it's at 7:00 Eastern time. Anybody can come. It's on Zoom. So it is, what is it? Oh, love and loss is this coming theme. So that'll be fun. And
how did Parentis begin? What was it?
So my friend and I had a reading series in which we were presenting. We were already presenting, like it was kind of the precursor of the salons. It was an after work reading series, and then it turned into the salons. And then we started a fellowship that I was like, I want this, like I want more people to see this and do this. And so the fellowship was like, I can't believe I started that before anything. But then in like 2014, I started going like, okay, this needs to be a thing. Like too many people are asking to join it, and there's nothing to join. So I should make something to join. We had a fantastic, there was a lawyer who would come. She didn't have kids. She was no longer married. And she would just come to the salons because it was so interesting and intimate. And she really got to know the writers. And so she was working at this huge law firm and said, we'll just pro bono, we'll just help you if you need help. And so this law firm did all the work for setting it up. And I just had to find a board, which I found two great human beings I will never forget. Like Michael Del Castillo, who is the president of Literary Manhattan, was our first secretary. And Emily Spear Ryan, who was just a woman who was good with numbers, was our first treasurer. And now she's like a businesswoman and has like 25 reports. But at the time, she was just like this babysitter that I loved. And now we're friends. But she, the three of us, and then I was the president. And then that was our first board for 2 years before we brought in some other people. But we've always just, I think from the beginning, we were just mission driven. Like the mission of Parentis is to help writers stay on creative track after they have kids. Full stop. Like if you have kids and you are stuck, we are here for you. And we are 100% inclusive. So if you are, a straight white male, it's okay here. And if you are a, gay Black female, that is great too. Like we are so happy with anybody's identity. We don't we don't judge. We also do not judge your parenting. Right. Like if you are a stay-at-home mom who makes organic peanut butter from peanuts that you grow in your backyard, that's fine. And if you are the mom that takes the frozen Kmart things and feeds them to your children in the car on your way, I don't care. Like this is not about your parenting skills. It is only about, do you want to be a writer? Can you do it? How can you do it? We will help you. Like that is it. So inclusivity happens to be one of our 4 pillars. Can you tell? Like really, like I think people do the best that they can with what they have.
Absolutely.
Like, and we want to help by giving you more options, or just lifting the guilt a little bit. Like, one of the things that we've discovered that we have to do as an organization is to break the stereotype of like writer and parent. Both of them. Like, writer parent is a collective stereotype that needs to get broken, because when I was in grad school, people would outright say to particularly women, don't have kids, it will ruin your career. Like that was said to all women. It wasn't just to writer women, but it was sort of especially to artists, you know, like that you're not going to be edgy, or you're not, like, there's all these things that are like, yeah. So I was, I happened to be in Sweden on a layover from there to Lithuania. And I went to the Museum of the Nobel Prize because I wanted to see the Nobel Museum. And at the time when I was there, 8 out of the 10 Nobel Prize winners for literature, 8 of the 10 were parents.
Oh, wow.
8 of the 10 that year had kids. So you can actually have a career.
Absolutely.
Actually, you just have to, it's hard. Like, it's just hard. And actually that's what my whole book is about. That it's about, like, how do you do it, and what, it's more like a what to expect, you know, like my book is, it's called Book and Baby, but it's not really about babies. It's about like what to expect in every stage of parenthood and writerhood at the same time. So it's like, you know, what, you know, for example, like when you have a 9-year-old, what can you expect to have a lack of? Because the way that we present things at Parentis is that it's not like the baby doesn't affect your talent. Your talent stays the same. What the baby will affect, or what your child will affect, is your resources. It will affect how much time, energy, and money you can like devote to your writing career, to any career actually. But yeah, but how much time, energy, and money do you have to give that is not going to be family time? You know, that, like, or how are you good? Well, so here's the thing. So here's my here's my thing that eventually I'll probably write an article about it, but not today. But it's like I have this like idea of, like, people say balance, right? They say balance, and balance is also one of our pillars at Parentis. Like balance, community, inclusivity, and what's the fourth one? Community. I said community. Community, balance. Oh, professionalism. Like, treat yourself like you're not a hobbyist. Like, right. There are hobbyists, and that's fine. Hobbyist doesn't matter what you do. You can write once and never write again. It's your hobby. But if you actually want to have a career, you have to treat it professionally. So professionalism is one of our standards. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, balance. So balance, the way I see balance is not the scales of justice, where I am a parent, now I have no career. I am a career person, now I am a terrible parent. That is a horrible way to look at your life. Just horrible. Don't ever do it again. The way you could think of balance is more like a Calder mobile, with like 1,000 weird shaped pieces that are hanging in all these different places. And if you move one, it's going to affect the rest of your life. Like, everything that you care about is on this mobile. And even like this new word, self-care, you know, like that's on there too. Like, things that you like to do. Like, I happen to personally like jigsaw puzzles.
Okay.
I want them up there. I want a jigsaw puzzle in my mobile, right? But where that is, that's like the jigsaw puzzle is the thing that gets moved the most. It's like okay, I'm not doing a jigsaw puzzle today, or this month, or possibly this year, or maybe this decade, and it won't kill me. Like, it's fine. Writing is near the middle, where I will write. Like, I get it that I have to run this nonprofit, and I get it that I have to take care of my kids, and I love them, and my husband needs some time, and I need some time, but my writing is staying.
Yeah.
And whatever else has to move around to make sure that those very important things to me stay balanced, that they are not too crazy, and that everybody is floating, and not like that there isn't this, like, you know. So So that's why I think that if you think of it as a bigger mobile, and like that the balance is like something that things will shift, and it's okay for things to shift around. Like it's okay for me never to do a puzzle for the next 5 years until I need to do a puzzle, and then I will do it, and then I'll find then I'll, I don't know, stop sleeping or something, or stop reading, I don't know, like things, things shift. And I think that giving yourself the permission to shift around is a big deal, especially as a parent. Like, and I think it helps your parenting to be able to shift around, because like all of a sudden one day there's no naps. What do? Force your kid to nap? Like, do you just sort of accept like, oh, okay, so now there's no naps. That sucks for my writing because I was writing during nap time. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it sort of affects things, but it doesn't have to be something that it breaks you. Like you can, even coronavirus, it's the worst, but here we are a year later, and most of us figured out some way of dealing with the fact that we are in the house with our kids 24/7, like that. There's, and we're like, okay, like these are the things, we figured it out, and it's hard. And now they're going to open up schools in 2 weeks. And it's like, wait, my schedule, like,
Oh, right, exactly.
what?
Exactly, my schedule.
Yeah. So that was a very long-winded answer to
you know,
whatever your question was. Panda bears and how to save them. Like, I don't know.
I love that you're talking about how different stages, when your children are babies. Now, when my kids were babies, they never napped. So
Right.
you people,
And that's true. I mean, that's true. You can't.
we didn't
And
have,
that's the thing with parenting groups is, when people will tell you this is going to work.
and
And
like, no.
you're like, it doesn't work for me, and then they feel like their advice isn't heard, and you feel like you're being told what to do, which is wrong. And then it's so like my book has none of that attitude. Like it is, so your kids best, your time best.
Exactly.
You cannot, all of the other books that I have seen that are about writing and parenting are about one person's experience. My book, I talked about 300 writers, that all the people that came on our stage from 2009 to 2019, I just looked through them and was like, okay, well, these are the similarities and these are the differences. And you can't always write during nap time. Some people can. Some people write super late at night because that's when they're awake, or that's the only time they get when there's nobody else in the house, and they make themselves write at night, even though they wish they did. I mean, there's, I think you learn as a parent to be less precious about stuff, or you learn what isn't precious and what is actually like necessary to your writing. Like it's,
And what's cool also is, sometimes because you're a parent and you do have limited time, resources, etc., you're more selective.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
that's good.
And also a lot of the writers that did manage to finish their books discovered that they were much more productive. When they had a time to sit down, they worked.
They were.
And they knew, and they had planned in advance what they were going to work.
Right.
Like that was kind of one of the tricks that actually throughout all of the stories, the ones that were able to, at some point in their day, decide what they were going to do when they sat down. And then when they sat down, they could get right to work and and not just sit in front of the empty screen going, I don't know what to do. I have 2 hours. It's the only 2 hours I've had in a month. What do I do? Like, that's a terrible feeling.
Absolutely. I want to make
Hey, look, there's my book.
There's your book.
My book.
The Complete Guide to Managing Chaos and Becoming a Wildly Successful Writer Parent.
It is true. All of those things are true. I don't make any guarantees that you're going to actually manage chaos or that you will become wildly successful. Disclaimer. I mean, when I say it, I always laugh at the end because it's like, oh God. Because is there ever a complete guide? No. Is there ever a way to actually manage chaos? It wouldn't be called chaos if you could manage it. And like, wildly successful, what does that even mean? Like, I love that title. It's so true. It's so true. Like, that's what you want. It's what you want so badly.
Exactly. It is what you want so badly. But you know, I love that you said 8 out of 10 Nobel Prize winners were parents. It doesn't have to be this or this.
Yeah, exactly. And the people that we present at the salons, like their bios will knock your socks off. Like Jennifer Egan, you know, Min-Jin Lee. These are people that are astonishing writers, astonishing, and they have kids. So somehow they did it. They did it. Like it can be done. Is partly, you know, I wonder how many people stop doing things because they think it's impossible. Like they just have decided that it's impossible. It's just not possible. I cannot do this because, and then they have the reasons. Oh, the reasons. There's so many reasons, you know. But instead of saying like it's impossible because of these reasons, if you say, all right, it's really hard because of these reasons, that's fine, you know, or it's really hard and the only time I have is this time, and then you just start using that time. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people that I literally can't tell you because I don't know the number of people, but I'm not a numbers person, but I do know that at least one person has written not a novel on, or even a poetry collection on the train, like commuting to pick up their kid to and from school, back when we used to commute and have kids out of the house, you know.
That's what I was going to say to you. How much writing got done this year now that everyone's kids were home?
Well, I've published a book, so, you know. No, but it's I mean, the spike in Parentis like panic attacks is so big. Like, you know, not just like, yes, we have more members, but we have more stressed, terrified, upset. Like we actually did 2 sanity lunches. I did a sanity lunch with a educational psychologist, just talking about like productivity when you are at home, trapped, when the parents need to be productive and the kids need to be productive because they have to do school. So it's kind of becomes your responsibility to manage. So you're a project manager in addition, where you used to be a taxi driver, now you're a project manager. Like you have to figure out the you know, the event space in your house and like who's going to get to use the good Wi-Fi spot and when. And I mean, it's crazy. And then the people who don't, who literally, like, I do not have more doors than people in my house. I think that the people who have more doors than people are blessed. Like, it is so hard sometimes when there are, you know, when there are multiple things that need to happen and not enough private space to make it happen. You know, I'm fortunate because I can come over here and like be outside of my house to do this. This is unusual. Most people can't do that. Like this is not, you know, normal. Oh, I have a great pandemic trick though.
Okay.
Some of our members who are writers who cannot do it in their house because of having toddlers are really the hardest because they can't leave you alone. Like if you exist in the house, and particularly if you are ignoring them actively, they come find you. It's almost like a survival skill. It's like, wait, my mom isn't actually watching me. Let me find out why, you know. And when you are watching them, they don't want you. So it's so frustrating. But whatever. The way to get around that is if you have a car, write in your car. Go in your car and close the doors and, you know, be careful. So there's ventilation and all that. But, you know, but really, but that is we have successful writers that are actually completing work by just getting in the car, driving the car like to something, or like one guy has his kids are in swim lessons, and during swim class, instead of driving home, he sits in his car for that 1 hour and just works. And nowadays you can almost get Wi-Fi anywhere. Like, I mean, I have my nephew is a filmmaker and he's pretty amazing. He's in the van life, you know, like he has his whole life is in the van. And he finished college. Like he went parked outside of public libraries where there is free Wi-Fi to do his classes, and has a great, and he graduated. He's like a DePaul University graduate, because I mean, you can do it in your apartment, but you can also do it in your car. So, you know, just putting that out there for the people who do not, like that. Me, have no car or whatever.
Park outside of a place with free Wi-Fi. That works.
That's
You
a thing.
And for people who aren't in the city, I hear that Walmart lets you park overnight. So,
Oh
and
my.
takes you away. I heard that from one of those van life things.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, van life is an interesting. I saw Nomadland.
Nomad land.
That was quite a movie. Yeah.
I love these tips. I absolutely love these tips.
I'm into them. I want to help people. Like I think people need to do what they need to do. And I want to help that because I like books. So write more of them.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So we want to read you. I'm just going
Please
to
do.
remind our viewers who you're going to be reading.
Yeah,
You
read
got
me.
Book Baby by DeVoe, but you also want to go to penparentis.org.
Yeah.
And check out all their offerings over here. The fellowship does have a deadline, but all of their programs do not. So get on over there, join the community. It's gonna ignite your writing. You're gonna find a community of people who understand you and know what you're going through and give you some helpful tips. I mean, who knew what people were doing? But just knowing that people are doing it and succeeding is going to make you realize that this is not impossible. Absolutely not impossible. You are such a delight. Thank you so much for joining us.
It was my pleasure. I really appreciate it, Stephanie.
So inspiring. Thank you.
Thanks for having this podcast.
And they're all going to start writing. They
Go right.
They're all in their car already. Forget it. Thanks for joining us and have a great next book.
Thanks so much.